Hello everyone. Gosh, it feels like we have not actually done a weather stream in like forever because there's literally been nothing to talk about. Like legitimately there's been nothing. Welcome in guys. Meg, S, Steph, good to see you guys. Miranda, Miles, who else we got in here? Amy, Caitlin. What's up, guys? We're gonna break down the tropics. We got a lot of stuff getting ready to happen. We got not a lot of stuff happening right now, but a lot of stuff's about to happen. We've got some severe weather today in the plains, very low in severe weather, not expecting anything too crazy. But as I told you guys over the last couple days, things are going to start to ramp up. That is the expected plan here over the next couple of weeks as we officially kind of were in the same pattern as last year. If you guys remember last year, we ended up getting a lull in our hurricane season for about 2 or 3 weeks. And then once the 15th of September got here, it was Helene happened, Milton happened. It was just back to back to back to back. It was like ridiculous. So we are going to break down tropics. Now, I want you guys to understand, you know, if you guys have been paying attention to hurricane season this year and how we've been covering things, the 1 or 2 storms that we've covered, we're watching our major development region. And if you guys don't know, welcome to the channel. We're going to kind of explain some things to you on how we track tropics, at least in the Atlantic basin here. Anytime we get something that typically forms in the Caribbean or in the Gulf, typically it takes about 3 to 5 days, maybe less than that, depending on how fast the storm's moving to either make its way our direction or, you know, go over to Mexico or go towards wherever it's going to go. When we're watching storms that are coming off the coast of Africa, we watch them for at least a week, if not 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks. In very rare situations, 3.5 to 4 weeks, but it's happened before. Hurricane Aaron, we watched for about, I think, 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, if we count the time frame between it coming off the coast and after it officially went subtropical. Anyways, basically what I'm getting at is that we have lots of time to watch. Now, this is satellite imagery here across the United States this morning, or this afternoon, I should say. I keep saying this morning. I'm losing my mind today. I've been up since 4:30 this morning, guys, so just kind of bear with me a little bit. Let's just kind of take a look here at our satellite imagery, what we're looking at here this afternoon, and then we'll go over to the tropics and take a look at what that looks like. With the first thing you can notice here on your screen, actually 2 things you can notice, actually technically 3 things you can notice, is we do have what's called an omega block pattern that's in place here. So it's typically something we see a lot of the times during the summer, like spring to transition to summer. We see that blocking high, lows on both sides. You get cool air on one side, sometimes some precip, typically severe weather slash, you know, cooler air associated on one side. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. Huge upper level low that's just been spitting here, giving us actually some pretty decent rainfall over portions of the Northwest Pacific where there's actually been a drought ongoing. So that's something that we're watching very closely here. But on that southwestern side of that trough, where those winds do curl up out of the southwest and move their way northeast, we get severe weather. And that's what we're going to see today in the next couple of days here. Not anything outbreak wise, not anything like significantly crazy. Mostly going to be hail and damaging winds that we see over the next couple of days, and we'll talk about what that looks like here in just a moment. And then you get a big old high pressure here. Now, if you're over in the Northeast, it's still pretty nice out. You got some 70s, maybe some low 80s. If you're in the Ohio Valley or the Central Plains or the Southern Plains, it's pushing the 90s, pushing the 100 almost. And the reason why that is because of that omega block pattern. Once again, cool air on one side, cool air on the other side, high pressure ridge in the middle of that ridge there. And where that ridge sets up is typically where all that warm, moist air gets shoved up. And we have our temperatures typically climb to the 80s, the 90s, maybe even pushing those triple digits. So something that we're watching for. The good news is this pattern's actually going to break back down as we go into the weekend here and into next week. So by Monday, Tuesday, we should see most of this ridge decayed again, and we're going to open up a new pattern again as we go into next week. And that's going to open the door for tropical activity either in our direction or out to sea. So we're going to have to, you know, speculate a little bit here today. I'm not going to get into too much. If you guys have not, you know, if you look at weather models, or if you look at weather tracking on your own and you've seen some of the model runs that we've gotten over the last couple of days, we are watching the potential for something in the Gulf. That's going to be something that we have to watch more towards next week, but our eyes are going to turn towards what we're watching off the coast of Africa. Now, let me go ahead and change over here to our satellite imagery of the Atlantic Basin so you guys can see what's going on here. Also, Crystal, good to see you in here. Good to see you, Tori. I'll get to y'all's questions here in just a few minutes. If you're watching on YouTube, bro, what is up? Good to see you. I hope everybody is having a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day today. I'm actually a little bit excited, guys, that we get to talk about weather because it's been boring. It's like we never want anything to happen clearly to anybody in the United States from severe weather or anything, but it's been boring. There's literally been nothing to talk about. So as you guys can see, we're getting a little bit of severe weather down there in Arizona today, some wind and some hail, not expecting anything too crazy down there. First thing we notice, and you know, this is something that we have to watch very closely as we go toward the month of September, or the end of September, I should say, because we're literally almost already at the 15th of September, so we're almost halfway through the month already, which is crazy. But something we've got to watch is what's called the Central American Gyro, and this is an area where Helene and Milton formed out of last year. toward this time frame. And we're starting to see lots of bubbly convection. We're starting to see lots of thunderstorms. That's also due to the dry air and the shear that is going to be moving out. We're going to have more favorable conditions here, but that's something we really have to watch as we go towards next week and really in general for the rest of the season, because once the CAG starts kicking in, the Central American gyro is this big ball of low pressure that kind of just spins over this area. There's always convection. There's always thunderstorms going. Sometimes you can get a low that spits out, and when that low spits out, it either goes north, it goes west, or it goes east in a general fashion. Next week, some of the GFS models, or the GFS model itself and the GFS ensembles, are starting to picture or spit out scenarios of a potential low pressure developing next week. Now, if that happens, the National Hurricane Center will issue an AOI. We don't have one quite yet. I do think that that's possible. They might highlight a 10 or 20% chance region somewhere in here. And I know the second you guys see something highlighted in the Gulf toward the end of September, you're going to automatically flip out and freak out that a hurricane's going to hit the United States. That's not the case. I want to let you guys know we're still going to have some shear out there. We're still going to have some issues with some of this potential next week. It's not going to be all systems go. But what the problem is really going to be, and I'm a little bit more concerned about, is those water temperatures. The water temperatures, guys, if you have not been paying attention to anything that's ongoing, if you don't look at weather on a daily, we broke a record this year for the warmest water temperatures in the Gulf that we have seen in modern satellite era, meaning that these waters that are sitting in the Gulf right now are the warmest they've ever been in history, at least from what we can date back to. And that says something. We've had no tropical systems. We've had no hurricanes. We have basically gone this whole season with nothing in that area other than a couple spin up lows or some troughs coming through. So what that's going to do is, if say we get a system that comes up, out of the Caribbean here in kind of long tracks and goes up to the Yucatan and gets into these waters, or even something that develops in this area, we always have to watch for what's called rapid intensification. Now, like I said, I know I'm kind of speculating at this point, but I want you guys to understand, if you live from Texas to Florida, or you live on the East Coast, especially in the Gulf area here from Texas to the panhandle of Florida and down towards Key West, you got to be paying attention, guys. With these water temperatures being so warm, rapid intensification from storms are going to be pretty much almost a guarantee. You can't say that with 100% because it's weather, but it's almost a guarantee with the water temps that we had. We saw it happen with Aaron. Aaron wasn't forecasted to rapid intensify to a Cat 5 hurricane. It was called to be a 4 2 days before it was a 5. So what I'm getting at is those water temperatures play a huge role, and depending on what the conditions look like next week as we go into next week and we start to kind of watch this thing potentially evolve, that's what we'll be talking about. So really going to be talking a lot about that Central American gyro. We'll be talking about the Caribbean and the Gulf as we go into the weekend and into next week. I'll have live updates for you guys. Another thing you notice, we still have a little bit of that subtropical jet stream that's across Florida. If you're in Florida, the Panhandle of Florida, I know you guys are probably sick of rain. It's literally been raining for like weeks down there, and the reason why that is because we had a front stall out about a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago, and it's just been sitting here kind of spinning, putting some lows out. We had a couple subtropical lows kind of move off this area and move up to the northeast, but this just dropped lots and lots of rain. And the good thing is we should start to see that front eventually push out as we go toward the end of the weekend here, and eventually that will lift up to the northeast. So we'll see a little bit of a break, but then that's going to open the door for some ridging, and once ridging kicks in, then we have to worry about tropical storms or hurricanes coming up out of that vicinity. So something we're going to have to watch very, very closely here. So we'll keep you guys updated with that. A couple other things that I'm noticing here, lots of Pacific Ocean activity. That's normal as we see the peak hurricane season ongoing. And then another thing as well, we've been watching this little blob of convection, at least I have, for about a week now, since Invest 91L last week basically disintegrated and vaporized itself due to dry air and shear. This thing may eventually start to fall apart here. We've been watching this kind of, waiting, because sometimes you get these blobs of convection out here in an open area. There's been a lot of dry air that's competing with. The not so great news is the dry air is moving its way westward here, and it's eventually going to allow for the door to open up for multiple tropical systems. Now, if you guys remember a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago and you've been watching my videos, we're getting ready to have what's called our MJO phase change. So basically, the Major Julian Oscillation is basically, it's a pattern that circulates around the whole entire northern hemisphere and allows for rising and sinking air to transition. So right now, we've had a lot of sinking air. Hurricanes and tropical storms do not like sinking air. That basically suppresses thunderstorm activity and allows for storms to not form. That's why we've had issues with storms other than Aaron. When Aaron happened, we had an MJO pulse come through, and it allowed Aaron to basically strengthen and become what it was. We've got a weakening high pressure up in the northeast. So basically imagine this high pressure that's been in place kind of suppressing and sending all this dry air. And that weakening high pressure is actually going to open up the door for the potential for some tropical systems. And it also may help pull these systems out to sea. Not 100% guaranteed every single time, but you guys know the logistics here. We'll talk about that here in a second. But basically, the conditions over the next 10 days are going to start to increase for tropical development. And as we continue into the month of September and go into October here, I'm very much more concerned about multiple tropical waves. And it already looks like the ensembles have 3 or 4 waves between now and the end of the month that are going to start to work their way off the coast of Africa. And we may, like I said, even see the Central American gyro get going. So that's something we're going to have to watch very, very closely. Can anybody point out where our tropical wave right now is that we are watching? I'm going to give you all a second here See if you guys can let me know what y'all are thinking. You guys need rain in Georgia? Absolutely, 100%. I wish I could send it to you there. Anything headed towards Texas anytime soon? I don't know the answer to that, but I would say you guys need to be watching because we have models that do show things that are way, way far out in La La Land, but you guys in Texas are not off the table yet, no. I don't buy, you can't be a weather person and forecast weather correctly over 10 plus days out, especially when it comes to tropics. If you are watching, Jay, if you're watching anybody that's forecasting weather over 10 days out and they're saying you're not going to get anything in Texas, that is wrong. That is absolutely wrong. So that's just on that side of things. You can't forecast tropics more than 10 days out, let alone 7 days out. So just something to make note of, but it's very possible. I'll show you guys some model runs today in Fantasyland and we can kind of talk about those. Anyways, since nobody wants to guess, this is our tropical wave right here. This is the one that we're watching that's coming off the coast of Africa actually as we speak. And this will have the potential to kind of work its way up here into a very favorable environment as we go into the weekend and into next week and eventually become what will more than likely be Gabrielle by the end of this week, or sorry, by the middle of next week, if not by the end of next week. And typically when we're watching these systems that come off the Africa coastline here, we typically are watching them for about 10 plus days before they get anywhere near our threshold. Now, the biggest thing too, and I want you guys to see here, this trough right here might actually play a big factor on where this system goes, and a lot of the ensembles actually have this system kind of doing a recurve here and out to sea once it develops. So it's not slam dunk. We don't know that until the system actually develops and until, you know, raw data gets plugged in here, and that's something we have to watch. So Jay, I appreciate it, by the way, very, very much. So it's very complicated. If it were like temperature outlooks or anything different, or maybe even severe weather, I could probably give you a better answer on that, but with the tropics, you never know. It's just one of these, this year is one of the years where we've seen storms that were supposed to form, not form, and we've seen storms overestimate and go over what they're supposed to as well. So that's just something we have to watch very, very closely. That's why I tell people, you know, if you're anywhere along the coast, until hurricane season is officially over with, you could see a hurricane. There's no really set month. I tell people that, you know, do you want or not see a hurricane? And it's just impossible to predict that. So once again, that goes with people trying to predict what this winter is going to be because of the phase changes we're going to be seeing. So, all right. Let's talk about the National Hurricane Center here. This is our latest outlook here. If you guys remember yesterday morning, I posted a video. This map was blank. We got a highlight yesterday with this region here, yesterday afternoon around the 2 o'clock update. This became a 20% chance of development. Now we have a 30% chance of development. Now you're like, Matt, that's not a lot. You know, what's up with this? This number's going to go up more than likely, significantly. I would expect this to be maybe a 40% by this afternoon. They'll do the next update at 7:30 Central Time. Sorry, 6:30 Central Time, 7:30 Eastern Time. So we may already get an orange here at some point this afternoon here. So yeah, that's something we're going to have to watch very, very closely. But right now the National Hurricane Center did actually add where that invest is, or not the invest, but where the wave is coming off of. It's going to be moving into a favorable environment here, and eventually over time this will more than likely become our next system. I'm actually pretty confident in this becoming our next system, unlike the last one where we had hostile conditions out in front of it. So another area that I think we're going to have, we'll probably have another area behind this highlighted, and eventually at some point, this is what I really want to watch right here, is this area. I wonder when NHC might just kind of pull that plug and say, hey, we're going to put a 10% or a 20% out there for the gyro next week, because those are the ones we really got to watch. It's not just these, it's these over here that we have to watch. So I know you guys are looking at this map and you're like, is this coming toward the United States? We don't know the answer to that. So it could go as far west, it could go as far north, it could go out to sea. There are about 1 million different ensembles showing different things here. So I don't know where this is going to go, and we don't know. We're just going to have to watch it. So if it gets close, you know, if it looks like it's going to come toward the United States, we'll talk about it. You guys will know in advance. But really, in all honesty, taking a look at our ensembles here, these are the overnight European ensembles. The afternoon ones I don't think have loaded yet. I'll double check. Let's see. Yeah, afternoon ones haven't loaded in yet. So these are the latest European ensembles. These are all of the members here, all 51 of them. And currently what you see right now is our wave. This is our wave that's going to be coming off the coast. I'll actually back this up so you guys can see a little bit more. Let me pull this back. There we go. So I wouldn't be paying too much attention to this. This has got like 2 ensembles supporting it. I'm not worried about that. This is what I want to watch. Pretty decent agreement here, but by the end of next week, not this week, the next week, around the 18th or 19th, we'll probably have a tropical storm sitting out here in the Eastern Atlantic. Very, very much a good agreement on that. Things can change. We'll keep you guys updated. But right now, pretty good agreement on a tropical storm out here by the end of next week. Now, this is over 7 days out. We're going to watch it. We'll see what happens. Could exceed intensity. Could go somewhere different. But the general consensus is this is going to turn northwest as of right now. We have to watch it just in case some wobbles happen, or because, you know, lopsided convection happens. There's about 1 million different things that we've got to watch for. Now, after that 7-day period, where does it go after that? You can see the model spread is pretty significant. Could go as far west as almost the Leeward Islands here, or could go as far east out to sea here. So pretty decent consensus here. I'll see what the afternoon models do, or the ensembles do this afternoon, but that's the European ensembles. You take a look as well at the GFS here. The GFS, completely different story in terms of development. Now remember, the GFS goes a little bit further out, so we're going to show the first wave here, and then we'll start to talk about the next couple of waves that we're watching. Here's that first wave. Ensembles are picking it up. Don't pay attention to any of this. These are just subtropical lows, but there's the ensembles doing a pretty decent job as well, right with the Euro, believing in that northwest trend. And the reason why we would see the system potentially maybe go out to sea more than come towards the west is because, once again, we're going to have a weakening Bermuda high, and what that weakening Bermuda high is going to do is actually allow for that counterclockwise flow in that least resistance path for this storm to just kind of meander out here in this direction. We're also going to have a pretty active trough probably around this time next week, maybe coming through and kind of helping aid in keeping this thing out. So right now, I don't see this wave being an issue for the United States. Not set in stone that. You guys know that things can change. I want you guys to also see something here. This is something we've been talking about for the last couple of days in my video as well. You see these group of ensembles that are starting to pick up on the idea of a tropical depression or storm at the end of next week as well in the Gulf or in the Caribbean. Gotta watch that. Those are very, very sneaky. Sometimes those lows spit out, they get going, they get a vortex in them, and then you get basically what is a tropical depression or storm. So once again, I'm not sounding the alarm for the United States. I'm not worried about it right now. If I start to freak out, you guys can freak out. And then again, right now, I'm not worried about it. So we're in watch mode. I would say, though, from Florida to Texas, you definitely need to be watching just in case something does, in fact, become a little bit sneaky next week. And like I said, the National Hurricane Center is pretty damn good job at issuing these as they need to be issued. So good to see you, Tiffany. Hope you are doing well. And then, you know, if we want to just take a look in La La Land at this point, you can see a lot of ensembles are starting to show the idea of a tropical system or hurricane heading toward the United States at the end of next week. I don't know the answer to that. This is next Saturday. This is over 9 days out. We don't even have a system in the Caribbean yet or off the Yucatan here, but there is some support in some type of United States potential. I'm not going to say no. It's definitely there, and we have to watch it because it's literally right around the same time frame as Helene happened last year, which is crazy. Isn't that wild that we see all of our storms at the end of September going into October? So once again, just something we've got to watch. There's not a lot of support, but there's enough support to be a little bit concerned about it. So that's what I'm watching for. But then you guys notice our wave over here. Most general fashion, unless these change once our system gets developing here going into the weekend, most of the support for that first wave goes out to sea, and then it looks like we're going to get a second wave behind it, and there's just a lot of uncertainty on where this next wave is going to go. But the general pattern is we got to watch, guys. We have got to watch. 1 or 2 tropical systems could develop in the Gulf as we go through the next 2 weeks or so. So that's what I'm watching more than anything. We're clearly going to watch what comes off the coast of Africa, but with the timing of these fronts and the timing of our Bermuda High being a little bit weaker next week, we may see these storms most likely go out to sea, which would be best case scenario. It's going to accumulate a lot of ACE, those the energy that we need when we get forecasts to come out for the Hurricane Center. It's basically a way that we calculate hurricane intensity. Those numbers will more than likely go up with these fish storms potentially. But right now, like I said, this is a good sign to see. Not a good sign to see if you're down in the Gulf, but a good sign to see if you're on the East Coast as of right now, as we're not expecting anything, you know, like significant. But if you're in the Gulf, I want you guys watching. I want you guys in hurricane, you know, just watch mode, just because we could see some issues as we go towards next week. Now, there's not a lot of Euro support on this, as I was mentioning earlier. I haven't seen, I'm waiting for these European ensembles to actually update, and they won't update, which is what sucks. No, they haven't updated yet. So once the Euro updates, we'll have a better idea what this is going to do. I'll take a look at severe weather here in a minute. I do want to show you guys a couple things, okay? Because you're probably going to start seeing people post this stuff. It's social media, it's clickbait, it's fear-mongering. This is why we do not forecast storms over 300 hours out. Like, I think most of you guys understand that's how we work on this channel. That's how you're supposed to forecast, which is not an issue. I'm going to show you guys some different runs here from the GFS over the last couple of days. So we'll start with an night with the midnight run from last night. We're just going to show you the model run just because you guys are aware of what's happening. We have no idea what's going to happen next week with these waves. Nobody knows. And the reason why that is because of inconsistent model runs, and 1, it's too far out, and 3, the system hasn't even developed. So technically, in a sense, this is what we've been watching. The GFS has been consistently for about 5 to 7 days now showing a tropical system potentially down here in the Gulf by next week. This is actually next Tuesday. So this is what concerns me, is we don't have an AOI yet. We're about 5 days to 6 days out from potentially maybe a system developing. Once again, the European ensembles and the European doesn't quite yet agree with the GFS. You can clearly see our tropical wave that's going to be coming off the coast of Africa. More than likely will become Gabrielle by early next week. Maybe even a little subtropical system off the East Coast of North Carolina. We'll have to watch that as well. GFS has been showing that for a little bit of time now as well. But what I really want to watch is what happens in the Gulf next week. If we were to get a tropical depression or storm at some point next week, it kind of moves to the Yucatan, kind of takes a weird path. There's our system that we're watching here, the AOI that we have right now from the National Hurricane Center, more than likely going to go to the northeast. This is what I want to watch. By next weekend, we may have a storm in the Gulf. Where does it go? I don't know. If we really want to go in La La Land here and just really look at things, GFS has been showing a hurricane heading... Actually, this is a crazy run from last night. It showed a Cat 5 last night hitting Mexico/southern Texas at over 350 hours out. You're going to see people post these model runs with this exact same picture, and they're going to say that it's happening, and it's not when this is over 2.5 weeks out. This is why we don't forecast tropical systems 2.5 weeks out, because it's not going to happen like this, and it's not accurate. There's just no skill to forecasting this type of stuff whatsoever, so... That's something to make note of there as well. I'll do that here in just 1 second. So just ridiculous scenario. Not saying it can't happen with the water temps that we have, but we don't even have a system to go off of right now. That was last night's run. Take a look at this morning's run. I'm waking up at 4:30 this morning and I'm starting to watch the GFS model run come in because that's what I do. And I get done, I see the update finish. And once again, consistent trend here with a hurricane or tropical storm next week in the central Atlantic. This will move out to sea. There's again our tropical depression or storm by the early portions of mid portions of next week. We could be looking at Humberto or Gabrielle, whichever one forms first. We'll see what happens. We could more than likely be looking at our H-name storm. Now this is what's really interesting, and I know there's going to be a lot of people if this system that's coming off the coast of Africa this weekend gets Gabrielle named first. This is where a lot of people are going to get, like, in their conspiracy theory realm, because if you guys remember last year, around the 20th is when Helene formed over here in the Yucatan, same exact spot. This would also be our H-name storm, so that would be Humberto would be the next name. So, yeah, I could see people are like, oh my god, it's the next H-name storm. It's going to do the exact same thing as Helene. That's not the case. Now, you can't compare storms. We've learned that over time. That's just not something you can do. But GFS model this morning, putting a Cat 2, Cat 1 hurricane in the panhandle of Florida, and then moving it out to sea. I mean, you guys get the gist. It's just too hard to forecast something this far out. And then you get to this afternoon's run, and take a look at this. This is the afternoon run today was quite bizarre. I was a little bit shocked on this one. This afternoon's run, tropical depression, tropical storm by next Wednesday. There's another wave. There's another wave. Takes our system out, puts a tropical depression storm over in the Yucatan, kind of struggles to form it a little bit, and then eventually, at the end of the run, it takes a major hurricane into Louisiana on the 26th, which is 15 days out. No skill in forecasting that. There's no point. So you'll probably see this posted a lot on social media today just because it's over 300 hours out and people want to make money and they want to make video views because that's just how disgusting people are in this world. So don't buy that stuff if you see it. There's no skill to forecasting that, and more than likely when the 18Z updates this afternoon, it's either going to not be there, it's going to be somewhere else. So that's just what we get off of these long range models, especially when they trend like this and we see consistency with something like this, but it's going in different directions. It basically just tells us that there's potential for something in the Gulf next week is what I'm getting at. So we don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day. Once I can get something figured out and once we get more data in, you guys will know the answer to that. But right now, not worried about it. We'll see what happens here. I wish the European would update, which would be awesome. By the way, guys, my lovely significant other has been working super, super hard on the Discord channel. If you have not, been put in my Discord. The Discord link is in my bio. It should be functioning. It should be working. Let me double check and make sure. Make sure you guys join the Discord. Please, 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 please. So you guys can get all the access to my weather alerts as well as when we go live, when we post videos, all of that lovely stuff. Make sure y'all go join the Discord. Link is in my bio. Billy, the landfall, I mean, the fact that it's so far out, we don't even know if something's going to form yet. We're talking about 5 to 7 days out. So in reality, if this trends for a little bit longer, or if the European starts to show it, which the Euro currently does not show it right now, nor does the Ensemble support it as of right now, it might just be biased to the GFS, but it is a signal and it's something we have to watch. And, you know, the National Hurricane Center, if they feel the need to go ahead and put it out, they will, but NHC does not see anything. And this is over, you know, 300 hours out as well. NHC does not see something, then they won't highlight it. So we're watching. We'll see what happens. There is some GFS ensemble support, but it's not a lot right now. So like I said, until I see more convincing ensemble guidance and support with other runs, that's when I'll start to kind of look into it more. But it's something I'm watching. It's definitely something I'm watching. I think I don't know if the icon showed it either. Let me take a look here and see. Yeah, icon kind of has two split lows here. It's a little weird on the icon, but we'll kind of get into more of that down the road there. Also, guys, let me go ahead and throw up that severe weather graphic for today. Here is our severe weather analysis for this afternoon. We do have that slight risk of severe weather today for Thursday, September 11th. There's that map there on the right side of the screen. I'll kind of go more in depth on this here in just a minute. Not really expecting any tornadoes today, so I have that risk at pretty much none. The hail and the damaging wind threat today is also going to be right at that medium category, so a slight chance there for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, with the threat for some 1 to 2 inch diameter hail kind of in there, and then the flooding threat really not really looking at it anything too crazy today. Chances of a severe thunderstorm watch this afternoon are pretty good as well, with that slight risk being present up into Montana and North Dakota, and then we have that overall slight risk. So once again, not anything too crazy today for severe weather. Just thought I'd just throw that up there so you guys can get an idea of what we're looking at, and then like I said, we'll go ahead and kind of talk about what that map looks like here right now so you guys can see, and we'll go ahead and pull that up here. Once again, that day one outlook for today, less than 2% tornado risk, but not zero. Not expecting anything too crazy. You could get an isolated tour. It's always possible. You guys know the drill on that. And then that wind threat at 15 and 5%, and then the hail threat also at 15 and 5%. So that'll be for today. Marginal risk in the dark green, general thunderstorms in the light green, and then slight risk there in the yellow. So once again, not expecting anything too crazy. And then taking a look at tomorrow as well, we do have that marginal risk up again here into Montana, getting into portions of North Dakota, South Dakota, and then back down here into the southern Four Corners. Tornado risk less than 2%, but not zero. Wind threat at 5 and hail threat at 5. And then if we go and we look at that day 3 outlook once again as well, we've got North Dakota, South Dakota, eastern portions of Montana, and then getting back down into Colorado, portions of eastern New Mexico here, and northwest Texas in that marginal risk as well. So really not a lot of significant severe weather happening, and the reason why that is just because of that omega block pattern. The troughing's not super strong, lack of instability, just a lot of things. But we'll be keeping you guys posted on the latest on that there. And here's just an overall run of what's going to happen this afternoon. We could see some supercells fire off here in the next couple of hours. General clusters of storms is kind of looking like it's going to be the theme today, with mostly large hail and damaging winds. You could get an occasional tornado out of this, but I don't see it being too much of an issue. If low-level shear is high enough, we might get some vorticity with some of these storms. And then eventually by midnight to 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, this pushes out, and then we do it all over again tomorrow, where we could actually see a more potent or significant severe weather setup tomorrow, maybe some damaging winds and some large hail over the North Dakota, South Dakota line tomorrow. And we'll talk more about that in the future outlook update there. I would love to see these ensembles update before we wrap up stream today, since this is going to be a pretty quick stream. I just wanted to get an update out to you guys, kind of give you guys an idea of what's happening. So make sure y'all go hop in my Discord channel, please. If you're new, we have all the updates there. You'll get notifications for live streams and videos. My lovely significant other has been busting her butt getting that set up. So make sure y'all go check that out, please. So like I said, we will be covering any type of tropical waves, all that stuff, etc. We'll get a new NHC update at 6:30 tonight. Once that comes out, I will post that on a video for you guys. If anything changes, we'll talk about it. Once again, do not be shocked if something gets highlighted in this area here in the not too distant future. I know a lot of people are going to be thinking a lot of different things because, gee, boy, oh boy, if we get a system in the Gulf, it's not going to be fun. And the reason I say that once again is because of just how warm the waters are. It's absolutely ridiculous. We take a look at the sea surface anomalies here. I'll pull this up so you guys can see this. Let's pull this up here. Look at that surface analysis. Interesting enough, we're almost at a La Nina pattern too, which is interesting as well. Let's go take a look here. Yeah. This is about as good as it gets, guys, in terms of how warm it's going to be. I mean, this is not great. We don't like to see this. This is not a good sign whatsoever. It is a boiling Gulf, Caribbean, Eastern, Western, tropical Atlantic here. It's just not good at all. So we get a system kind of sitting in here, rapid intensifies, goes north, goes east, goes west. It's a recipe for disaster, and that's what makes me very nervous as we go to the rest of the season, because people are on vacation, people are doing things. People probably aren't thinking, oh, it's the end of September, I'm going to get a hurricane. People should be thinking that, because especially after last year. But we got a lot of time to watch, hopefully, which will be good. But yeah, this will be an interesting next couple of weeks here, next couple of months, I should say, in terms of that. So, has anybody got any questions, comments, concerns, anything you would like to ask me? I think I've pretty much run through what I've wanted to run through. I'll pull this map back up here so you guys can see. Excuse me. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Y'all are so quiet today. I also think that our live stream and my video views have been suppressed again as well. And why that is, I don't know. Thank you, TikTok, for suppressing me. I appreciate it very much. Oh, man. We're going to get busy at some point, guys. It's just a matter of time. Like I said, watching this wave come off the coast of Africa, we'll start to watch the gyro here. No cause for alarm right now, but if something spits out, best bet we'll be on here covering it. So, why is South Florida getting deluged for this week? What do you mean, for just like with rain? You guys have had a stalled out front just literally sitting over top of you for the last couple of weeks here, really for the last week or two, and that's why right there. It's just stalled out, not moving. That's crazy, Ember. That's insane. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with TikTok today. They're also pushing out a new update in 2 days, which is also going to be interesting. So, we got lots of things to watch, guys, in the next couple of days. It will be a very, very interesting rest of this hurricane season. I've been telling you guys all week, just because we had a lull in the season just like last year, doesn't mean that we're not going to have a backloaded half of the season. And I really am concerned about what phase we're getting ready to go into, and as well as where we're kind of directing toward the rest of the season at, because it looks like it's going to be a very active next couple of weeks. So that's typical as we go into the end of September and October. So I'll give y'all just a few more minutes here. If you got any questions you want to ask, feel free to ask them. I don't plan on doing another live stream today. We'll get back into it tomorrow. If something pops up and I need to get on, I will. No game stream. I can do a game stream today if y'all want me to. I don't really have much planned. I have football to watch tonight around 6:37. I could probably wiggle one out. I'm really tempted to go back down to 7 Brew and get some more coffee. Thanks to Ashley and Alyssa for awakening me in the 7 Brew world. I got so many things that I want to try down there, not gonna lie. I'm gonna be broke just because of 7 Brew. All right, we're gonna wrap things up here in just a minute. Literally cannot wait for ours to open. I'm excited though. You're not streaming in the dark finally? Why? What do you mean, Aiden? I typically have the lights on. It's light outside too, so that's why I have the windows there over there. Well, guys, if y'all are content with everything, last time I had to remember where they put far too much syrup, it made me sick and can't do. Yeah, their coffee's really good though. I love their coffee. It's really addicting. It's bad. But yeah, I'll have an update for you guys if anything changes. I hope you guys have a wonderful Thursday. We'll be back here probably again tomorrow morning for an update. I'll have videos out a little bit earlier tomorrow since I won't be out. I went on a run this morning at 4:30 and didn't get back till almost 7, and then had to shower and everything and get stuff worked on. So, but yeah. But yeah, I'll let you guys go. Weather team, I appreciate you for hopping in here, y'all. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the tabs. Thank you for all the gifts. I appreciate y'all as always. And we will see you guys back in here again tomorrow. Be safe, everyone. Pay attention to video updates. Also, go hop in the Discord if you're not in there. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Goodbye.